Welcome to the Tennessee Titans Daily Fantasy Team Preview. Jason Gilbo here with Russell Clay. Taking a look at a Titans team that's obviously in a transition period, and it feels like they've been in a transition period for a very long time now. Personally, my take on the Titans is there's more to dislike than there is to actually like.
There's so much to like, kinda. It's like, oh, I really like the idea of this player, and then it just never, it's not going to happen. I mean, with Tennessee, we basically have to come to the conclusion, other than Mariota, who I'm very confident is going to be an amazing quarterback at some point, everyone else is just not going to happen. We have to learn that. Kendall Wright, Dorial Green-Beckham, Justin Hunter, Bishop Sankey, they're just not going to happen. And so if we go into it with that optimism and confidence, I think we'll do just fine. So
here's the thing. We'll talk about the receiving core because I think that's the most fun thing to talk about with Tennessee because of the names you mentioned. Yeah. On a week-to-week basis, there are people that just get suckered into playing, those names. Justin Hunter, Kendall Wright.
Raise your hand.
Beckham. Oh, I'm definitely in agreement. I was there because they were so cheap and they were just deep tournament threats, and obviously there's that same thing that we're going to be in 2016 in the same similar situation. Yeah. And you have your Delanie Walker, who's the most consistent points per reception tight end on the board, and he was just a great cash game tight end. Outside of that, it's a whole lot of mystery.
And okay, so let me amend that. Delanie Walker is a beast. And he's going to be, once again, just a consistent cash game tight end play. And no doubts about it. Any doubts of him potentially losing targets to any of these receivers is totally overblown. I see 1,000 yards again. I see, 80 to 90 receptions again. That's just going to be what he does. Including week one, fire away with him and feel really comfortable about that role. Because, again, he does have that young quarterback in Marcus Mariota, who is young and emerging and a really good quarterback at this stage. Hopefully they don't ruin him. But he is going to need that safety valve, and Walker is absolutely that. So he's a tight end, top 5 tight end pretty much every week. And I'm actually really optimistic about Delanie. So that's good.
Yeah, I am too. 132 targets last year, very solid. Caught 70% of them, 95. He was just an excellent guy week in and week out. And my issue with this receiving core is the fact that they don't get on the field at a consistent basis. None of the wide receivers played over 60% of the offensive snaps last season, which is bad. For someone that you want to build consistency with as a quarterback and you want to build some sort of trust and some sort of you want that development with the quarterback. That's not there, and that's the problem I have with the Titans.
Yeah, and while I think some of it is the players, I think a lot of it has been the coaching over the last few years. There's no excuse to put this much capital and draft slots into receivers and not hit anything. Like at some point, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, all right, Titans, I'm doing something wrong. Because Kendall Wright's shown signs of being a pretty consistent receiver. He just can't stay on the field, and like you mentioned, even when he is, it's just not consistent enough. So they got Harry Douglas in the mix as well. It's just not and we're talking about Dorial Green-Beckham. All reports are saying that he has come into camp in better shape, but not doing any better in terms of learning the plays and running the right stuff. So that's kind of unfortunate to see. I doubt anyone emerges into a prominent receiving role this year other than Walker.
Yeah, I think so too. And if you had to put stock into one, would Wright be the guy?
I think Kendall Wright would be the guy if he can get on the field, but obviously already dealing with, I believe it's a hamstring injury. So we'll see. If he's on the field, then I like him, but if not, it's just going to be a combination of a ton of guys, including apparently rookie Tajay Sharp. I believe he was their 5th rounder. He's been getting a lot of snaps with the first team, so that's just another guy who, while he won't be taking up a ton of targets, he'll be on the field and sort of, just ruining any type of flow.
I mean, that just sounds about it. And so we can talk about Mariota. Definitely going to be one of those kind of boomer bust guys because of his versatility. I mean, we saw it, 2 or 3 weeks last year where he had a tremendous outburst of fantasy points.
Hmm.
But then the other weeks it's just completely a low floor. So it's definitely one of those boomer bust situations where 1 out of 15 times he comes out huge and has a big week. The other are kind of mediocre to average. But I think he will be kind of a cheap flyer because this defense isn't really that great, and he's going to be forced to kind of have to make plays.
And I think when we look at their backup quarterback from last year, Zach Mettenberger, he did start the 4 games that Mariota didn't play, but he also made appearances in 3 other games, and that's the worry with Mariota. Can he stay on the field? What's it looking like when he's injured? He likes to run a lot, and obviously we've seen that the past few years getting a lot of quarterbacks in trouble. So I think he's good enough as a passer to sort of figure that out, but you really hope he can just on the running a tiny bit. It doesn't sound like they're going to do that, so hopefully he can survive, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, and looking at the running game, I mean, obviously landed DeMarco Murray, which kind of tosses in something in the backfield, given that they did get Derrick Henry. So obviously those are 2 backs that have some potential, who I think it can be solid backs at the NFL level. Obviously Murray we saw with Dallas, but faltered in Philly. I don't think this is a situation where he kind of rebounds in. I'm just personally not against using this backfield.
Yeah, I don't. I want to see the upside with Murray, but I just don't after last year. And it's not necessarily that I think he's awful. I just don't see the upside in this offense for him. If anything, I'm more excited for the week if he gets injured, where Derrick Henry's really underpriced and potentially gets those workhorse touches. I like him to emerge as a 3rd down back by the end of the year. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on as the season goes on, how many snaps he gets per game.
Yes, certainly. And looking at kind of attacking this defense, I'm all about it. This defense was all over the place in 2015. And actually, I mean, just with the offense being as bad as it is, it might not actually be, games where they're, hanging in there. I think it's just going to be more blowout situations. So I think I'm actually going to be looking to use a lot of running backs against this Tennessee team, just given the fact that game flow might set them up for kind of a heavy usage.
Absolutely.
So that's going to wrap it up with our Titans preview. Be sure to check out the rest of the teams at dailyfantasycafe.com.